Hey yo, how you doing, guys? It's 2 for them boys. Me, the one AJ.
And me, Double V. It's been a while, but I'm back.
Indeed, he is back. And you know why he's back? Because honestly, I am so grateful for TNA to this. The first time we saw him, we were at Turning Point for the UK show that it was. He had one hell of a match there. And like he's challenging for the X Division title in a few hours. Who am I talking about? The YIC, Mr. 0121, Leon Slater.
Hello
Sorry,
with
I
the
just had to mark out.
What's going on, fellas? Glad to be here. How are you guys doing?
Yeah,
Over the
man,
moon,
good.
over the
Yourself?
moon.
Hell yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm good.
Great stuff, great stuff. So, Leon, like as we said, we followed the journey for a bit. We saw you first in Impact at the time, and we've seen the journey throughout on the UK shores. But we want to know, how did your journey start? How did you actually come into the business?
So the way that I got into the business was through a place called UKW Wrestling, which was based in Wakefield at the time. And like pretty much like everyone else, I was into wrestling from a very young age. I can't remember a time where I wasn't into wrestling. So as I was old enough, and someone say I wasn't old enough, I went down to UKW at the age of 9 to take my first training session. And it's been a hell of a journey ever since then.
Indeed, it has. Indeed, it has. Yeah. Right. I mean but so while doing that journey, how did it feel taking your first bump at 9? Like, how did that feel?
Oh, luckily for me, I had done a little bit of jujitsu before, so I kind of already got the gist of how to like. We used to call it a break fall in jujitsu, but like taking a bump is similar, but at the same time completely different. Because in jujitsu, ain't nobody lifting you above their head in a gorilla press and throwing you down. You know what I'm saying? So at the time, I didn't really feel it because I'm sure it was I was made of sponge or something when I was that young. But I'm sure there's lots of 20-year-olds that don't have to wake up and have their back click as they sit up. So there's pros and cons. Arguably, I wouldn't be where I am now if I didn't start training so young. But I'm sure a lot of 20-year-olds are feeling better than I am right now.
Were
I'm
the
sure. I'm sure.
with the chest slaps coming in at 9 as well?
Luckily for me, no. I think people had a lot more mercy on me because I was a literal child. Obviously, as I started to grow up, they started to come in, and I've kind of learned to deal with them. But they still suck. But luckily for me, at that young of an age, I wasn't getting beaten up too bad.
Good stuff.
So Leon, in the UK, you've won a few singles titles. We saw you beat Connor Mills for the cruiserweight title and tag titles. How did it feel to get that recognition from these companies?
It's a very cool feeling. Winning a belt is always a super cool feeling because it's not only a not only a promoter putting his trust in you and showing that he values you or he or she values you, but it's a status symbol to fans. Like when they walk in to a promotion, often the first time they think about or the first time they see is who's the champion here, who is the best of the best here. And being able to hold that cruiserweight belt or being able to hold the North Wrestling Championship for over a year now. I take great pride in being in that position of not only representing the brand, but representing myself and this country of being one of the best we have to offer.
Mm.
Indeed, indeed. And that has been one of the things. I mean, ever since that day we saw you at the Turning Point opening show and throughout, it's just been so exciting to see each one of your matches. And as well as singles, there's been tags. And I've got to ask, both of you representing the 0121, but how did the pairing of you and man like Darius come about?
So it's actually a funny story. So again, going back to North Wrestling, Darius was supposed to be in the North Wrestling Tag Tournament to crown the initial tag team champions with Visage. Unfortunately, Visage had to pull out. I think they were injured or they had something going on. But luckily for me, I was on the pre-show of that show. And Darius had 4 people to pick. And luckily for me, he picked me. And ever since that day, boisterous behavior was born. We went on to win the North Tag Team Championships, and in my opinion, become one of the best tag teams, not only in the UK but in Europe.
I love it. I love it. Talking of you performing in the UK, before we come into the great signing of TNA, one of the things that we saw, I was lucky enough to see, was you were able to compete in a tournament here in the UK, and you took on your childhood idol in one of the most touching moments I've seen in wrestling ever in Shelton Benjamin. What was that moment like for you?
Honestly, it was very, very I don't have the words to describe it. I guess surreal would be the closest thing I could say. Obviously, growing up watching Shelton, and like I said, like I grew up without a father figure in the home. So to have someone like that, that I could look up to and aspire to be like was incredible. And luckily for me, my life has taken me on a journey to the point where I'm getting to work with my heroes now. So to get that match with Shelton, in kind of home turf at Progress in front of all the Progress fans, and in front of my mum and my girlfriend and my sister, in front of my family, to have them there too. It was an incredibly special moment. And that promo, I guess I'll call it, after the match was not a promo. That was just me speaking from the heart. As I'm sure you could tell, I was nearly in tears. And I will always be so, so thankful for Shelton coming back out from the curtain after he beat me to share that moment with me. And that picture to this day, the picture of us hugging, and like someone, I can't remember who got it, but there's a picture out there of me and Shelton hugging, and right in the back corner, you can see my mum, my sister, and my girlfriend all on the balcony above. So it's definitely probably the most special moment in my career so far, emotional wise. And it's definitely something that I hold very near and dear to my heart.
Love it, love it.
So cool, man. You must be actually really chuffed then to see what Shelton's doing and back actively wrestling again. Because I mean, AJ and I have always said that of all the brilliant wrestlers out there, Shelton's probably the best to never win the world title.
100%, 100%. He has every tool in the game. I mean, like, there's not a single hole you can poke in that man's game. And, like, he is a legend. And I'm glad that, like, especially on this recent run, people are appreciating for the legend he is.
Too right. So bringing it back to you now, because, I mean, I'm sure we could grab a beer and talk Shelton all day. But the first time we saw you perform was very special for me and AJ because it was at the UK takeover. It was at Turning Point in Newcastle. And you were on a pre-show against Mark Haskins, and this is just after you had officially been signed to TNA. How did that feel for you, especially as it was around the time that they had announced Impact was once again becoming TNA?
Yeah, so this was, I believe Turning Point was actually the day before I got signed. I think
Day after.
Was it the day after?
Yeah.
Okay, my mistake. So yeah, like going into that whole tour, knowing that TNA was gonna be TNA again, it was daunting, but at the same time, very, very exciting because of like, although everyone loved Impact, everyone grew up on TNA, and I know I personally grew up on TNA. So to have the opportunity to wrestle under the red and yellow, and wrestle under the TNA banner, was a very, very special opportunity. And like I said, like going into that weekend, I knew the expectations were high, but I feel like I smashed those opportunities out of the park, or I wouldn't be in the position I am now. You know.
Yep, I do apologize. I think you were right. It was the day before. My mistake. I was just so excited. It was the next show I was charting TNA at you. But yes, no, but all the same, yeah. Awesome time. Yeah, it was. You got the contract from Scott after fighting Kaz. Yeah, my mistake. But yes.
You good.
And Leon, actually, speaking of you and Mark Haskins, I actually want to bring it back to the British independents here, because less than a month as of today, it's you and Haskins again locking it up at Burning Heart, right, in Wolverhampton. How'd you feel about that one?
Good. I feel good about it. I mean, Haskins has been one of those people that have almost been like a checkpoint in my career. I've had these people like Speedball, people like Haskins, people like Michael Oku, that are all these different points in my career I've had to come up against. And Mark Haskins is one of them. And I feel like every time I wrestle Haskins, I've grown more and more as a performer. I believe our first match was in the opening round of Super Strong Style 16. And I feel like I grew a bunch from that to the match at Turning Point, and I feel like I've grown tenfold and even more from Turning Point until now. I've yet to pick up a win on the independents against Haskins, with Vicky by his side. So I'm interested to see how that plays out, but I think I'm gonna get the job done.
I
Cool,
think so
cool,
too.
cool.
How do you feel about your involvement with Burning Heart moving forward? That promotion looks like, as the name suggests, like it's going to be fire, man.
Absolutely. Burning Heart was an absolute blast. I was fortunate enough to be a part of that first weekend. I wrestled Connor Mills in Liverpool and Trent Seven in Wolverhampton. And all I can say is there's going to be a lot to look forward to in the future as far as Burning Heart goes.
Indeed,
Wicked.
indeed. Keeping it, or bringing it back, shall I say, to TNA. We've been very grateful to TNA for giving us the opportunity to have interviewed both Chris Bay and Ace Austin, two guys that you've actually tagged up with. What was that experience like tagging with the former two-time tag team champs?
It was very, very cool. I'll let you into a little secret here. Ace Austin and Chris Bear, like when I first started getting to the age where I could be on shows outside of UKW at the time, which were just like training shows. I made a list. I made a hit list. I made a checklist of people that I'd like to face or step in the ring with, and both of those guys were on the list. So like, it was a very cool opportunity not only to get to work with them, but to get to tag with them in the ring. Was something I was very it was a cool moment for myself. I was very proud of myself to get into a stage where I can be in the ring with people like that, and Ace and Bay have been great to me during my time to TNA. They're almost like big brothers to me in a way, and I've learned so much off of them, and I'm super thankful that they've taken me under their wing.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
I
man,
do look forward to seeing the tagging was exciting, but I do look forward to seeing you face off against those, because those will be some
Me too.
classic matches.
Or maybe even becoming part of. Just
Who
throwing
knows?
that out there.
Who knows what the future holds?
The 0121 Club. It's gonna happen. He's gonna be Bullet Club UK. Watch, Leon's gonna represent for us.
Yeah.
So again, keeping it on what you're doing now. So you've got the opportunity now to take on Speedball Mike Bailey, and you're getting ready to face him. I believe it's tonight. How are you feeling?
Sir. It is. Yes, sir.
How are you feeling about all that?
I'm feeling good, man. I've managed to mix it up with Speedballs 2 times so far in my career, both on the independents. We're one apiece right now, so I'm hoping to take that 2-1 lead and take that X Division belt with me. And speaking of the X Division belt, that just makes it mean that much more to me. Not only because I grew up on the X Division, people like Alex Shelley, people like Christopher Daniels, people like Samoa Joe. I have the chance to become the youngest X Division champion of all time. Amazing Red currently holds that record at 21 years old and 4 days, if I'm not mistaken. So even if I don't win tonight, I still have 11 months to complete that. But to test myself against one of the best in the world in Speedball Mike Bailey for such a prestigious prize like the X Division Championship, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't feeling the nerves, but I'd also be lying if I said I wasn't feeling confident, because this is what I've worked pretty much my whole life for, and you're going to see it play out right on TNA Plus.
That is do you know what? You brought up the fact, because I was going to say, I'm really hoping that I can't watch it tonight. I've got work in the morning, but I'm going to hope to log on to TNA Plus and see that match and be seeing the youngest X Division champion. But talking of that, you win the title and would potentially win the title, rooting for you on this one. If you are the new champ, how are your feelings on defending in a actual X Division match, climbing across those ropes and going for it that way, defending the title in that match?
I think that is point number 1 on my checklist, right? I mean, TNA is infamous for the Ultimate X match, especially in the X Division, and especially with the X Division that we have now. We have such a deep roster of so talented guys that I think we can elevate the Ultimate X stipulation past the levels that's been set before, and that level is high. But I would definitely, most definitely be up for defending the X Division belt if I win it tonight on Impact.
Best of luck to you.
Well, speaking of who to face next, so TNA have announced the signing of KC Navarro.
Oh,
how do you feel about a potential match with him?
I think me and KC would kill it. I think me and KC create some magic. But more importantly, I feel like I can beat KC. Yes, no doubt he would offer a challenge, but I feel like I'm on top of my game right now. And don't get me wrong, he is too. But again, that's what makes these interesting matchups. I would most definitely like to mix it up with KC Navarro.
That's
Again,
definitely
so
what
much
you
stuff to look
call
forward
a
to.
shot there. I love that. Absolutely love that. Leon, so bringing it to the end of our little session now, what we always do on the podcast is we do a rapid fire session with whoever
Okay.
we're interviewing. So it's basically me just asking you questions. You tell me the first thing that comes into your mind, fastest finger on the buzzer type game. You cool with that?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get cracking.
Match you're most proud to have competed in.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Probably me versus Liam Slater for North Wrestling, where I won the North Wrestling belt, or tonight's match against Speedball Mike Bailey.
Nice. Your cheat meal.
Fish and chips.
If you had to skip in the day in the gym, which day would it be? Leg day, back day, arm day?
Oh, I hate to say it, but leg day.
Your favorite ring entrance music from any superstar?
Oh wow, that's really tough. Oh my god. Quick fire. I've got to probably go Mark Henry.
Oh, nice.
Got a banger.
How about your dream match with any current wrestler?
Any current wrestler in the whole world?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to say AJ Styles in a TNA ring. I think like perhaps the future legend versus the legend of TNA. I think that would be super interesting.
How about a dream match with an opponent who no longer wrestles or who is no longer with us?
Oh wow. I think it's probably gotta be Eddie Guerrero. I think that would be
Everyone goes for Eddie.
Yes, yes. He's a legend, man. How can you not? How can you not?
Of course. Who's the stiffest opponent you faced?
Oh, that's a tough question. You know what? It's probably an answer you don't get a lot, but Zack Sabre Jr.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Is
Bro, those
stiffest...
holes are tight, brother. Those holes are tight.
Yeah, he doesn't mess around. How about the hardest chopper?
Oh, again, that's a tough one, man. The hardest chopper. So it's between two. Number one is probably Trent Seven. And number two is Chuck Mambo, surprisingly. His hands are bony, bro. Like they sting bad. But Trent Seven, you know, he's a British strong style. He's got that technique down. So when he laces you, he laces you.
Chuck's a surprise to
gifted...
me. I've got to be honest. Chuck's a surprise to me on that
Yeah,
one. Wow.
yeah, bro. Ask any British wrestler about Chuck Mambo's chops. Everyone calls him the knife man for a reason because his fingers are like knives, bro. They hurt.
Most gifted opponent you faced?
Oh wow, that's a super tough one. Probably I'd probably gotta say either Will Ospreay or Speedball Mike Bailey, just because the pair of them are aliens. They understand this game on a different level than every other human I've ever met. And athletically, both are on another planet.
Yeah, 100%. Weird physical hybrid athletes. They're once in a generation guys, those two. Your favorite match you watched growing up?
Wow. You know what?
Don't make it easy, brother.
It's probably gotta be damn, that's a tough one. My favorite match. For me, it's a strange one. It's probably Survivor Series 2014. Sting debuting, Dolph Ziggler is the last man standing. That was my childhood, man. It's definitely a toss-up between that and like a couple of Jeff Hardy classics and some RVD classics and some Shelton classics. But the first one that came to mind was Survivor Series 2014.
Love it. Your favorite belt of all time?
The X Division belt, 100%.
And how about your Rushmore of wrestlers?
Again, a very tough question, especially to answer quickfire. I think there's a lot that can qualify for this. My personal Mount Rushmore would have to be RVD, Jeff Hardy, Shelton Benjamin, and probably Eddie Guerrero.
Nice.
Very nice.
Who would you put on the Rushmore of TNA wrestlers?
I think it's got to be AJ. I think I think Josh Alexander has a case to be on Rushmore. Like he is a legend in TNA, bro. I'd say AJ. I'd say Josh. I'd say Kurt Angle, and I would say one more. This is a tough spot to fill, man. I'd say Frankie Kazarian as my four.
Woo! He's left Jeff Jarrett off, you know. Wow.
Oh, Jeff
Wow.
Jarrett, bro. Double J. Double J. I didn't even think. This is why this is not a quick fire question, bro. We gotta have a 7 minutes to answer this question. We gotta have 25 minutes, bro, to answer this question. We gotta discuss this. This is not a quick fire question.
I'll tell you what, we're both going to be at Burning Heart. I think I'm actually going to be helping with the crew backstage, and AJ's going to be in the crowd, so we can sit down and have a proper chat then, man. Definitely.
Let's do
It's got
it,
to be
please.
done. It's got to
But
be done.
that's it from us, man. AJ, bring us home.
Yeah, so once again, absolute thank you to TNA for this opportunity. Leon has just been on the radar. We've met him so many times, and it's just such a great opportunity. And just hours before a title match, we are ever grateful. And talking of that title match, be sure to head on over to TNA Plus, The Zone, and check out TNA on YouTube for all things TNA. Keep it locked. Until the next time, I am the one AJ, joined by Double V Nicola and the youngest in charge himself, Mr. 0121, Leon Slater. Best of luck. We are out. Thank you. Bye-bye.